everyone. I am so happy to have with me author Candice Curry, and I have her new book. Yay! The Con
Yay.
Man's Daughter. And it's not a big book, but I think I read it in record time. I don't think anybody could have read this book faster than I did. So thank you so much, Candice, for coming on and talking to me about this. And I loved it. Loved it. You're an amazing
Thank you so
writer.
much.
I love the way you wrote this. It had me going, and it was such a great story. I mean, of course, it's an amazing story, but I loved your writing. I really did. And I feel like I know you already. I feel like we're friends already.
We are. We're totally BFFs now.
We're totally BFF. But, in the world of, I have found, like we were talking, I know your friend Anna LeBaron, and in the world of women that are out there, and I'm older than you guys, but I was raised in a very abusive household, and it has helped me when I'm now reading these books about it, and it's like, you guys have a voice that I never had, and it matters. It really matters to people like me. I haven't ever written down my story, but I get it. I get the dad thing. It was, I get that. And at first it always makes me hard. I'm like, okay, can I talk about this? Because it is so, close to me. My dad was so much like your dad it's weird. It's like in a different way, which I'm sure you're finding talking to other women and
oh yeah.
Now that you're out there, it's like we don't have the same dad, but it almost feels like the same dad.
Yes, I've gotten a lot of messages like that, which is a double-edged sword. I'm really happy that they're comfortable coming to me and saying, "Oh my gosh," even if it's in a private message, which I appreciate. "Oh my gosh, I relate to this so much, or I related to this part, and my dad, all this kind of stuff." But on the other hand, it's kind of sad that there's so many people out there, that feel that way or had that kind of parental relationship. But I think that's why I told the story, that to give a voice and to just let people know that they weren't alone in that struggle, because it's a heavy burden, and I think there's shame in it. Like when your own parent is in the wrong in your life, you're like, gosh, was I just not good enough, or is it me? So you carry the shame, and I just kind of wanted to lift that shame and tell my story so that other people could go, oh, I'm not alone in it, and kind of lift the shame and be brave through it instead.
What's funny is when I'm reading your book, I'm like, the one connection that we really have is that we were both cheerleaders. and it was so funny because in the book, when you were talking about cheerleading camp, that was my cheerleading camp. I went to that cheerleading camp. I don't know where you were, but I was at that cheerleading camp. And
yeah, same. They're all the same, right?
They're all the same. Yeah. It's so funny. You're down in Texas, I'm here. We're going to the same cheerleading camp. And it was a time in my life too that, my household is falling apart. Okay. But I'm at cheerleading camp. So, it's all good.
It's all good. My girls are here. We're just, dancing and cheering and sweating and whatever. And you just didn't have to think about anything, right?
It was an escape. It was an amazing escape, and
yeah.
I'm sure that other women, find they had their own, So I've talked to some women who had drama, who had, there are other things that girls get into, and, it is our escape. And I went into the escape of the cheerleading world, and I loved my cheerleading world. It was fun.
It was fun. It was fun. I think people are shocked when they find that out about me. The people that haven't known me all my life, when I say, yeah, and I was a cheerleader, they're like, you? I'm like, yeah, do I not? Is that weird? Why is that weird? But it was a huge part of my life. I loved it. And I still have those girlfriends now.
Yeah, we have a little stigma attached to us, It's like
for
that
sure.
Little cheerleading, oh, you were cheerleader? Yeah, for a lot of years.
Yeah. But it was fun. It was a good time.
It was fun.
Good women now that I have in my life.
Yes. Yes. So I tried to, when this morning, I'm kind of going through my head, and I'm like, what was the thing that hit me the hardest and the thing that brought me to tears about your book? And that's when I say, I know that man. I know your dad, because I had, and I think everybody's going to see the part where everybody loves him. He's fun. he's the guy. He's that dad. He's that dad. Like he's not like your dad that just sits there and watches TV and doesn't even say hi to your friends. Like he knows your friends and your friends love him and he's just amazing. And that personality, I don't even know. I was talking to my brother about it this morning because I was telling him I only have one brother, just like you. And my brother's younger though, and we are 18 months apart, just like, so it's very similar, where we were raised together. So you had that partner in crime, in
definitely.
Right. So I said to him, what did you see in him? Because he kind of saw different things as a boy. And maybe your brother did too. Like, it was different.
Like, all of our friends thought he was the coolest dad in the entire world, And, but we were jealous of the other dads. Or we, not jealous of the other dads, jealous of the kids' dads. We're like, oh, your dad gets up and goes to his 9 to 5, which is so honorable,
Oh, you mean your dad has a normal job? What is that?
Yes. People thought my dad was cool. I'm like, no, your dad's normal job is cool. But my brother, I think he had a lot of, I think he was torn because he very much had to be the father figure for me, and stand up for me and kind of fill in this gap. But he also, desperately was kind of my dad's best friend at times. So he had these two different roles that he had to play, but dad was not the fun guy to either one of us. I think, as a matter of fact, a friend yesterday messaged me and said, we had a party in high school and the only adult there was my dad. And I know, how ridiculous. And he had bought alcohol for the party and stuff. And so he was like, oh my God, your dad's so cool. He's like hanging out at the party. And we were mortified, like, oh my gosh, my dad's here. And we got caught. The police came and my dad talked the police out of getting us in trouble. So he was this golden hero, but I'm like, wait, my dad's at my party, no, it's not cool. And she messaged me and said, I'll never forget that party, and thinking, oh, well, how awesome her dad is that he talked the cops out of getting us in trouble and all that stuff. She's like, now I think, what the heck was he doing at that party? How embarrassing. So they see it now,
My dad was that guy. I mean, and it's so weird how I never knew you are the first person that that I have somebody who understands, because I tell people, yeah, my dad used to give me pot. So my dad bought me a bowl for my 13th birthday. I mean, I have children. I did not buy that. Like, it was in the weirdest. And, people in school would be like, so do you know anybody that can get you weed? Yeah,
you're like,
I do.
Yes.
Know anybody who can get us alcohol? As a matter of fact, I do.
Yeah. Let me go ask my dad.
It's my dad. And I didn't, I don't know. It's so conflicting. But here's the thing. I graduated in 82. My dad died in 88 from cancer. And when my dad got sick, he had 6 heart attacks in a row. He was a drug addict. I mean, seriously, this is no shocking now as a 52-year-old woman. Back then it was like, he's so sick. I don't understand.
Oh, goodness. Yeah. But now you're like, well,
duh. Like, he abused his body. But so when I was reading your experience of your dad's death, I really didn't experience what you've experienced. Of course, I had other experiences with my dad too, but I didn't experience quite that. And I remember my brother and I standing at his funeral kind of like, okay, so he's dead. Like, we were 21 and 22, and it was just this weird, like, he's just gone, and we didn't know how to process that at all. So it was kind of, you were older, you could process a little. I think how you process it was healthy. Was actually healthy because I didn't, Yeah.
I mean, so I have younger siblings. He remarried. Yes. And I have, when my dad took his life, my siblings were 12, 15, and 17.
Right.
And so we were in our 30s, my brother and I. We processed it very differently. I think they're still processing
Absolutely.
it. And it's been 5 years. So, yeah, I understand that at 21, I don't know what I would have done. I don't know. I think it would have been a very different experience. But I guess I had the maturity at 36, kind of like let me feel that started writing ultimately.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was really weird for us. We were kind of happy. I have to say, and I feel guilty saying this out loud.
I know. No, I know.
I mean, it wasn't, everybody was like sad, but we were sad, but we were kind of happy. The guy was relieved.
Mm-hmm.
I just had my first son. I got married young. I just had him. And and there was a sense of, he's never going to know him. Oh, good.
Yes. I know. When I speak somewhere, like at a church or wherever, and I talk about the suicide and I say, oh, yeah, his death really freed me. And they're like, his death freed you? That's kind of, I don't know, it's hard to say it because it sounds so weird. But yeah, it was freeing. It was like, I was devastated because breathe, And my kids don't know him.
Right. And I tell, what I do to my kids is, like, I tell good stories about him all the time. I catch myself always being like, oh, your grandfather would have really loved this song. He used to love this song, and, oh, he played really good pool, and he taught me this, and he taught me that. And as I got older, I kind of gave them little tidbits of information, but I don't know. At this point, he's been gone longer than I had him, and it's a distant thing. But I didn't know, after I got done reading your book, I'm like, is your mom still alive?
Oh, yeah, my mom is alive and lives next door to me.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, yeah, it's the best. So we see her every day. After school, the kids run over there. She has a little candy bowl for them. They get to each pick a piece of candy and tell her about their day. And my mom and I have always been close.
That's awesome. Always. That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, it did, and you had this too, it's like a 3-unit. Like when one of them dies, it's like, then it was me, my brother, and my mom, But, my mom died 5 years ago. And so now it's just me and my brother. But, we went through, that's a whole other thing. But anyway, it was just like, it's just, so it was freeing to be able to, when you put words to it, when I read it, I was like, yeah, those were the words, like freeing. People were looking at me to grieve. I had friends crying a lot. And I was like, no, it's okay. He's fine. I went to a wedding the next day. I went to work the third day. Okay, like I'm telling you, like denial isn't even like people were like, "Your dad just died." Yeah, my dad just died. He was sick a lot.
Yeah. So my dad died. My dad died on a Monday, but we didn't find out till Thursday of that same week. And I went to work on Monday, and I remember the people at work were like, "What are you doing here?"
Right.
And I was like, "Well, I have to work." And they said, well, you get 10 days off to grieve or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to give him that power over me,
Right.
He's not going to steal 10 days
so
again.
That is so good. It was almost like the power you could have.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was like,
I decided. Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said, no. I was just, in my head, I was like, no, he's taken enough. I'm not going to go home and sit for 10 days and pretend like, I was devastated, yes. And it took me a long time to heal, but my daily had to go on, At the time I had 4 kids, little kids, and my husband and my siblings. And I was like, no, you don't get to steal 10 days where I just curl up in a ball and do nothing. So I went back to work.
I wouldn't have even known how to do that for 10 days. I would have been like, but I'm good,
Yeah. I've been like sitting there like, oh, okay, what's on Dr. Phil or whatever. But yeah, no way could I have taken the 10 days off. And I think that also would have given me time to sit and stir on stuff. And I didn't want to do that either.
Right. Now, just to make it clear, because I was trying to understand what exactly, because I know what my dad did, but I was trying to understand what your dad did, like what was his con? Like what was his deal that you didn't go into a lot of it, so I thought maybe you didn't want to talk about exactly what he did, but like, what was he doing? Like, how did he do that? How did he get away with it?
Well, he was like genius level smart. He was so smart.
I know that, and I think that's a personality. I think,
yes,
I'm thinking that's a thing.
My dad was that way absolutely
too.
A thing.
They have to be super smart, ahead of everybody, right?
Well, yeah, that's how they get away with it. Right. That's how they make us believe them, because they're one step ahead of us, yeah, super smart. And so he would pretend to, I think at times he pretended he was a lawyer, he was a bankruptcy consultant, and he would meet these people that were in financial trouble, and then he would help them get out of the financial trouble. I'm talking super smart. I remember testifying in court against him in his custody case, and even the judge was like, Mr. Snell, you're insanely smart. I can't even imagine what you could have been. You're in 48 years on this bench. I've never seen somebody so good at what you are, which was the con man, like that he could pull this off. We drove stolen cars all the time.
So how did he get, like, he just stole them?
So he would, sometimes they were from people. So he would go and tell the people, I don't know. I know
it's probably confusing, but I was just as confused because I was like.
But I know that sometimes he test drove them off the dealership lot and gave them to us. Just never went back, because back then you could go on test drives without
your license,
the salesperson. It was very different back then. Now you have to read your license or whatever. But he would just test drive them and literally give them as birthday presents to us. And my mom, actually, he had my mom give her a check, and I don't really remember how exactly it went down, but he said, fill out this check, I'm going to go get you a new car, and she was, like, arrested for stolen vehicle because it was just taken off the lot. But then he would con people to borrow their car, or that's how they would pay him. He could use the car for a little bit while he was doing legal services for them, and then he would just never return with it.
That's just.
He did the same thing with houses.
I know, like, you guys ended up in these houses. I was like, okay, I can see, like, little things like money and objects, but a house, like, how do you get a house?
like that's good manipulation there.
Really?
He moved my brother into a house in Lubbock. My brother was going to school at Texas Tech, and he pretended to be a CEO of a bank, or I don't really know how he pulled it off. But he moved my brother and his friends into this house and said, this is your house, go to college and whatever. And they lived there for a month, and the owners came home and just didn't even know they were living there. So that kind of level. So,
and then you're like, oh, sorry, I'm living in your house. Like, oh my gosh.
Like, oops, yeah.
Oops.
And then when we would confront him, like, hey, I'm being kicked out of this house, he would just blame us. Well, I'm not the one who needs somewhere to live. You're the one who told me you needed somewhere to live. And you're like, yeah, because you're my dad and I'm the kid. And, like, when I go to college, you help me find somewhere to live. So he would just turn around and blame it on us.
Perhaps, maybe with a lease. I don't know.
Like an apartment where we signed a 6-month lease. I wasn't talking about steal a house for me.
That is crazy. That is like, when I think about how smart my dad was, I'm like, wow, your dad was, like, really smart, because I don't think my dad even could have figured that out. Like, he
was good.
That was good. That was really good.
We were looking at, my mom and I, she has pictures all in her hall, and we were looking at one, and it's, one of those old Mills pictures, and I have a gold Seiko watch on, and I remember thinking, I was like, oh my gosh, I was 13, had a gold Seiko. I, could have owned Disney in my eyes. But I told my mom, oh, how sweet, look at me in my stolen golden Seiko. And she goes, well, how do you know it was stolen? I'm like, because Dad gave it to me. It's not like he went and cashed his paycheck and bought it. He never had a job. So anything that he ever gave us, we knew was stolen.
That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. That's crazy. And
I can laugh now, but I remember finding out, like, he got me a tennis bracelet, and I found out it was stolen, and I just lost my mind, out of anger, because that tennis bracelet made me feel special.
Yeah.
And then finding out that it wasn't it wasn't earned by him, and it was so deceitful, then you just lose all that worth. And I don't mean my worth came from diamonds.
Right.
My worth came from
him.
From something he had given me that
Absolutely.
I cherished.
Absolutely. I do remember figuring out that the things I had gotten were all manipulation. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's more than anything was behind all those things, you know, was his manipulate. Like, look, I love you so much here. Like, and then we were like, oh my God. I mean, I was his daddy's girl too. Like, I was that girl. And so anything I got from him, I didn't realize was like just a game. It was just a game in his, you know, in his
and that steals so much from you. Yeah,
it really does. And I know that I was like in my 30s, and I was watching an Oprah show, and Oprah had on this guy that she got he was from in jail at the time, and he agreed to answer all her questions about what he had done. Okay. And to girls. I mean, it was sexual, but it was like, the question she asked him, and when he was like, well, this is what I thought about, and this is, I swear to you, I almost like had a nervous breakdown thinking that my dad actually was thinking like that. Mm-hmm. You know, that it was that planned. I was hyperventilating. I'm watching this show, and everybody, my kids are like, what is the matter? And I was like, I don't know what I thought that my dad did, but I didn't think he was thinking it that out like that.
Yeah.
Where he was. Of course he was. Like, duh.
Yeah.
But it was like this moment of realization.
You don't think that about your dad.
Right.
Yeah. It's very hard when things come to light and and then the reality hits you, because I think we're stuck somewhere in the 13, 16-year-old age
brain
where you're, you know, still thinking dad's okay. Like,
yeah, he has a little bit of quirks, you know, he gives me pot every once in a while instead of like, it just says he's like, quirks.
He's a little different. But then when you find out, like, whoa, he's not just a little quirky, he's a bad guy.
Yeah, he's seriously.
Like my dad's one of the bad guys.
Yeah.
That's hard.
It's really hard. And I did have the same, you write about it in the book, and everybody can read about it in more detail because we won't talk about it in a lot of detail. But I did have the exact same situation with his best friend that you had, which was also a very eye-opening, because I've never told anybody, because who, like, like I was raised with this man, and I felt safe with him as I felt with my dad also. And you know, and I don't know, I don't know if, you know, my dad knew about it. I didn't know how much your dad knew, but
he knew.
He knew. Okay. Yeah. So we, you know, like, I don't even know what to say. All I can tell you is that I went through the same thing. So I got it.
And that's rough. And and you have to really make an effort to release that and forgive it and move on from it, because that's something that can crush you on a daily basis.
Right. Right.
So I really had to remove myself from it, lift what I thought was my burden from it, because didn't you feel like,
well,
ownership maybe?
Kind of. I started looking, I was 15, I was kind of like, maybe I did something to provoke that. I'm not sure what I did to trust him. I don't know. It was a trust, you know, and like I said, I never really told anybody. I didn't tell anybody but my dad. And my dad was cool with it. So, like, you know, like,
Same.
So it was a very weird, you know, just like the drugs and the pot and the drinking, his thing was like, well, I want you to experience everything on my terms, so therefore I'm going to set up what you experience.
Isn't that crazy? That's how self-centered or absorbed or self-concentrated they are, that there's no conscience when it comes to other people.
Right, it was all about them. It wasn't about us.
All about them.
You know, the narcissism that's involved in, like, controlling everybody's life to that extent, you know.
Yeah.
So
narcissism, for sure.
Narcissism.
Such a good word for that. But even when you say narcissism, I think if you haven't experienced true narcissism, you just think like sometimes we say my teenager, oh my gosh, stop being narcissistic.
Right. No.
Meaning don't think the world revolves around you. When she doesn't,
right.
She just is a teenager. But when we talk about it about our dads in that sense, no, they really think the world revolves around them.
No, it was on a different level. It's on a different, different level.
Just a crazy level.
Right. But I love the story about your triplets. Okay.
Oh.
I love that story because I've had 6 children. I've gone through pregnancies. I've gone through with pregnancies, you go through all kinds of crazy stuff. But I can't imagine. I was trying to put myself in your shoes of, thinking like that you've lost them and you only thought it was twins, and then going back and finding out I'm also a Christian. The weird part about my Christianity is that my parents took me to church.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and my dad would go to church sometimes, but then it was only to argue what the minister said, because no, please, my dad knew way more about God than the minister did.
Of course he did, of course.
So he did show up every once in a while to just so he could have something to talk about how crazy the minister is. But I did go and I did get involved, and it saved me, okay? Mm-hmm. It was God saving me because he may have I may have had these crazy parents, but I was in church every Sunday hearing that it wasn't my fault. And the little bit of sanity I had was only what I got there. Okay. So that kept me together. And
good.
And so I'm thinking going through pregnancies, and I understood what you were doing. I've done it. I've had sons that have gone into the war, and, you lay there and you're just like, what do you want? All right, let's just bargain here. All right.
Take it all.
Take it all. Take my house.
Just
take everything.
Give me what I want.
Just give me what I want.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Take all the stuff I
don't want. But I just that feeling of just I can't even imagine that amazing feeling of having...
that was a weird experience. But I don't know if you read this part in the book or it caught your attention, but my daughter, who was 6 at the time, when we sat her down and said we were going to try and have a baby, and she prayed, God, please put a baby in mommy's tummy. And then when we told her it was triplets, and she got so scared, and she looked at me and she said, am I in trouble for praying too hard?
I love that.
And I think that hit me really hard when she said that, because she knew that she had prayed and that God had listened to her.
Yeah.
She just knew it, Right. And she was worried that she prayed so hard that God blessed her abundantly, And I just, that hit me that she had way more faith than I could ever have.
I love when I used to see that in my children during different times in my life. And I then, as an adult, held on to their faith.
Yes.
Because if I couldn't do it, then I needed to hold on to what they were seeing. And seeing it as, and I think that's why the Bible does say that, seeing it through the eyes of a child, because they don't have the garbage, they don't have the baggage, they don't have the disappointments and everything that we thought that we were being punished for. They don't have that. And because we built that up in ourselves, Yeah,
that's all us. That's all earthly.
Yeah, that's all us thinking, well, because we think we deserved it, because whatever. I mean, but I would then look at them and say, okay, well, they aren't worried tonight. They're going to bed.
Yeah.
They're sleeping, I need to do that. I need to follow them. And, children can teach us so much. But, okay, so how old are the triplets now?
They're 10. They'll be 11 in September.
Wow. So, I've had 6 children, all single births.
Oh, my gosh.
Sometimes I wish I look at a child and go, would I have wanted to... No, not him. No, not her. No.
Not to him.
But even though consciously I know they're completely different human beings, they are not exact replicas of each other, Yeah. But were they're all girls?
They're all girls.
Okay, because your son is the only boy, the 3-year-old, right?
Yes, he is 3, and he is the baby. He is the only boy.
He has all these moms.
He owns me. He owns everybody in this house. Oh. He knows it.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, it is. And oldest daughter was 14 when he was born.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, he's got all these little mamas running around and who would just think he's the cutest little thing ever in the whole wide world. So, God, that kid gets away with whatever. And I'm tired, so I don't even care anymore.
I know. It's really funny because my youngest is 14. My oldest is 30. And the older kids will say to me, and they all have kids now. Okay, that's why I have 7 grandchildren, because they all went and had kids. But they'll say, Mom, we couldn't get away with that when we were 14. I'm like, I'm 52 now. Okay.
You're like, I don't care anymore.
You guys have worn me down from all that, and I see that it all worked out okay anyway. So it's like,
I know. That's what I keep saying to him. Like, he's gonna be fine. We have others that are fine.
Please, it worked.
It'll all balance out.
It all works in the end.
Yeah. I'm probably ruining him, but.
Well, it's really cool because my daughter has 2 little boys, and she was 12 when I had my youngest, but she was the 2 youngest are boys, and she kind of was, you know, I'd give them to her, you know, like I'd be handing them as a baby, you know, and now she has 2 boys, and she'll say to me, I am such a better mom than you were. I'm like, oh, that's so cute.
Oh, you're just so adorable.
She's like, my boys, I'm going to do differently. I'm like, awesome. You do that.
You do you. Go for it. Go for it.
I'm just happy enough I lived long enough to see that.
I know. I love when my kids say, well, when I'm a mom, I'm going to do it this way. And I just give a little clap. Oh, well, that's awesome. You guys are going to be amazing.
You guys are going to be amazing moms. You know, when they're like, well, if I were you, the punishments I would be handing out today. Mm-hmm. Let me tell you what those look like, you know? Like,
yeah, for sure. I love it.
I know. It's so much fun. But, you know, I'm so happy that I got to talk to you. I really am. And you know, it's one of those things. It's like we get out of that and then we go on, you know, there's hope. We go on and it's all good and it's all, you know, it doesn't have to be. That's what your book,
hope, for sure. Yeah.
Your book
hope, I think is the general message.
Hope. And that's exactly what, you know, that's what I got from it. And even my healing comes from what you write. I mean, it's another layer. There's always another layer. Never, if he were to give it all to us at once, we'd just be like, we wouldn't be able to do it. But there's always another layer, and women like you can give that to me, and it makes me so happy. I'm so happy to meet you.
And vice versa. You know, I mean, I wrote the book, and there's so much healing in it, but I have to heal every single day. Yeah. And that's why I have to choose Jesus every day, you know? Because if I didn't, goodness, I don't even know where I'd be. Right. But every day I have to remind myself of hope because that, you know, something comes up every day. We've got some new obstacle every day.
Right.
And so we have to lean on each other too, the way we are right now.
Yes.
Talk to each other, share our story with each other.
Laugh about it.
What's that?
I said we're laughing about it because we can laugh about it. Because that's how far we've gone.
Right?
Yeah, because that's how far we've come, you know? It's like I couldn't have always done that and now I can. And that's the healing that, you know, is powerful. And
so hopefully us laughing about it can give somebody who's in it some hope.
Yes. I really do hope that. I really do. That is my desire too. And that's why I'm going to share your book all over the place. There it is.
Thank you so much.
I love it.
It's been surreal. I'm so excited. Thank you so much.
Are you going to write anything else before I let you go? I just want to know. Are you thinking about anything else?
Yeah. So I've actually had a new development come up since the book.
Good. Yes.
About my dad.
Yes.
So will I write a whole nother book about him? No, I won't. But, you know, about healing and life in general and stuff. And for me, how God continues to put these little things that I didn't think I needed in my life, didn't ask for, didn't pray for, and then I go, so there's been some developments, and I'll write something else for sure.
That's awesome. I really think you should continue to write, and there always is, and you're a mom, and you've raised a lot of kids, and you've gone through experiences that other new moms need to hear about, and I love that, you know, we can keep sharing that with the next generation and the next, you know, I mean, there's some mom out there finding out she has triplets, okay?
Bless her heart.
Yeah. So, and you'll just continue to inspire people. And, you know, you can always come on here. We can always talk anytime you want to talk about a new book. I'm all for it. So,
awesome. Thank you so much.
We'll be speaking, and I love you, Candice. It's been amazing.
I love you. You're my new best friend.
Awesome. We'll talk to you soon. Have an amazing day.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.